Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. The Bloomington Redevelopment Commission discussed a contract for the West 17th Street reconstruction project. At the August 2nd meeting, Engineering Department Project Manager Matt Smethurst requested more funds for the project. He identified two parts of the project that went over the requested budget.
Change Order 10 would adjust the contract amount for overruns and underruns on several unit prices on the contract. The two main items that overran were asphalt paving and curb and gutter. We added additional areas for paving and curb during the project that's partially responsible for these overages, and as well as estimated quantities were a little bit low for those items.
Commissioner Nick Koppus asked if this would be the last change order for the redevelopment project. Smethurst assured commissioners that the only remaining change order would bring money back to the city.
This is the last change order for 17th Street, other than there will be liquidated damages against the contractor for not completing the project on time. And I believe that requires a change order also, but that will be a change order in our favor. So.
Commissioner Koppus clarified that the Redevelopment Commission likes to keep to a 5 to 10% buffer for projects. He hoped the returned money could bring the current 14% budget overage into that acceptable range.
Looks like, we went 14% over.
Right.
And, if we're getting liquidated damages back, that can bring that back within our normal tolerance, then that's fine. But just something to consider. We were a little bit over our usual amount.
Commissioners approved the change order unanimously. The Bloomington Utilities Service Board's Finance Subcommittee held a preliminary discussion about the City of Bloomington Utilities' 2022 budget. Board member Jim Sherman asked whether Bloomington's proposed annexations would affect future CBU budgets. Utilities Director Vic Kelson said the effects would be minor. He pointed out that Bloomington Utilities already serves those areas.
Annexation will not affect water or sewer. With the exception of people there will be some people who are currently in Area B who have to go through the extra step of going to the board for approval for sewer extensions. I think it will be easier to get sewer extensions, but we don't do them automatically. The neighborhoods will still have to pay for them just like they do now. So we don't anticipate that annexation will have much of an effect on either of those, because we already sell everybody water anyway.
Kelson said the real focus would be dealing with stormwater issues in the urbanized areas that would be annexed. He said the additional revenue will offset the additional costs.
We will have more issues to deal with. We'll have a bunch of problems and differences in the way their systems are designed, or differences in their construction standards, but we'll also get the revenue from all those additional residences and businesses in order to pay for them. So
Kelson said the department would hopefully have final budget numbers by next week. The Bloomington Utilities Service Board talked about soil at its August 2nd meeting. Assistant Director of Environmental Programs James Hall proposed an amendment to a contract with Vet Environmental Engineering, who the city hired to help excavate and dispose of soil. Hall said the project needed additional funding because it would have to reach farther north than expected. He added that contractors would need a place to store waste, which was not considered in the original plan.
We did the delineation. Once that delineation was completed, we found that we probably needed to continue the delineation north. So this contract is to do that, to cover that cost. Then also the original thought of Vet and ourselves was that we would be able to haul this material, straight haul it. Well, IDEM said that we couldn't do that. That we need to use roll-off boxes. So this waste determination and that cost to have all this material put in roll-off boxes, stored, sampled, and then sent down is part of this. And then also there were some additional things that IDEM was asking us to do that we hadn't originally thought we would have to do.
Board member Jeff Emmon asked how much farther north the project would reach. Hall clarified that the delineation would only add a few additional feet.
So the second delineation went all the way up to 4th Street. And so IDEM has agreed that we'll just need to take material. It's just a few feet north of the intersection of Lincoln and 3rd now. So we were from the north edge of the Boys and Girls Club to the south side of 3rd Street on Lincoln. And now we're going to have to go to the other side of 3rd Street and just a few feet north of that.
Board members approved the amendment unanimously. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to Cats Week. The Bloomington Board of Public Works discussed improvements at the fire station on Fairfield Drive. Director of Public Works Adam Wason presented agreements with companies to replace the blinds and flooring at Fire Station Number 2 at 209 South Fairfield Drive. Board member Beth Hollingsworth questioned Wason on when the replacements would begin.
When will they be starting that project, Adam?
JD will give them a notice to proceed as soon as the approvals are received.
Okay.
Board members approved of both replacements unanimously. The Monroe County Board of Health discussed a new mask mandate at its August 3rd meeting. Board of Health members discussed signing a new health order that would require all Monroe County residents to wear a mask indoors, regardless of vaccination status. Monroe County Health Administrator Penny Caudill talked about the growing spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant. She said that 100% of recent cases have been the Delta variant.
We're in this month, right? We're just into August. And I'm not sure this data, it says in current month. So take that. So far, the Delta variant has been 100% of all the samples that have been tested. Now, I say that, I want to be really clear, not every specimen is tested for variants. It is a sampling of them. But it is an indicator. We use that surveillance method for lots of things to see what's circulating.
Resident Jeff Hauser suggested that masks do not help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Board member Dr. Carol Talukian pushed back on this suggestion. She clarified that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention initially asked people to not buy masks so that healthcare workers could have enough of them.
It's very clear that masks do work to prevent spread. That's very clear. Very early on, they suggested not wearing masks. That wasn't because they didn't work, it's because they didn't want people going up and buying all the N95s and not having healthcare workers have it. That's why. And so they didn't, the masks weren't recommended till later because of that, not because they don't work, because they clearly do work. I'm a physician, I wear masks in the operating room. I wear masks when I'm doing, anything that involves being that close to people. So, I mean, it's very clear that masks work. We know they work through, we've used them in healthcare for hundreds of years.
Monroe County Commissioner Penny Githens vocalized her support to add a signage requirement to the health order. She pointed out that residents from surrounding counties, which have lower vaccination rates and higher incident rates, come to visit Monroe County frequently.
One of the things that Ms. Cottle pointed out last week at the Board of Commissioners meeting was that surrounding counties have a much higher incidence rate. And those are people that come to Monroe County to work, to dine in restaurants, to recreate, and even some of the kids come here to school. So I think that when we don't have a border where we can keep only Monroe County residents exposed here. We've got a lot of other people that come through. And so having that signage and having this in place, I think will really be important for the health of the county. Thank you.
Board member Mark Norrell suggested the health order either expire on September 30th or, if Monroe County enters blue status, on the Indiana State Department of Health coronavirus dashboard. Board members agreed, with the caveat that they would meet before September to discuss extending the order. Board members voted unanimously to sign the health order. Human resources consulting firm Wagner, Irwin, Shaley and Associates gave a presentation to the Monroe County Personnel Administration Committee on job descriptions and salary compensation. At the August 3rd meeting, WIS Representative Addie Rooker said they spent most of the time researching the report, sorting out job descriptions. She revealed that each department had multiple versions of a job's description and that many did not match their salary ordinances.
When we started the project, it was evident that there was no official record of job descriptions. There were multiple copies or versions of job descriptions floating around. Department heads may have had two or more different versions. They weren't sure which one was accurate. So we spent a lot of time on the job descriptions, matching job titles, matching FLSA status, because some of those didn't match the salary ordinance.
Rooker said WIS received feedback around offering additional compensation for positions that do not qualify for overtime pay, like elected officials and legal advisors. She pointed out that these positions do not qualify under the Fair Labor Standards Act, but that the county council could pass legislation that would allow it.
As I just stated, that under the strict FLSA regulations, these employees are not entitled to or eligible to receive overtime compensation or comp time. However, the county may adopt more generous overtime policies if it chooses.
County Council member Marty Hawk cautioned that the report doesn't necessarily mean any salaries will change. She said it all comes down to whether Monroe County has the money to follow the recommendations made in the report.
I would like to make it very clear to department heads or employees who might be listening as well, that while we appreciate getting this and we see what the dollar amount that's suggested might take it to get us to whatever is being stated here, once again, it all comes down to, is there money to do that? And so I wouldn't want anyone looking at this to assume that suddenly they will get a raise.
The next Personnel Administration Committee meeting is scheduled for September 7th. The Monroe County Board of Zoning Appeals continued discussion on requested variances to the WIS property. At the August 4th meeting, Senior Planner Tammy Behrman talked about the county's difficulties trying to get additional information from the petitioner. She said the county requested an updated site plan with more details on the ramp the petitioner is seeking a variance to build.
We have had some difficulties getting the petitioner to submit additional information. So we had requested an updated site plan that showed the driveway and, explained more about this ADA ramp that they were wanting to put in, because obviously from the photos that does not look accessible down to the ground. We also had requested that they, provide some details of the ramp, like the height and the slope measurements, and then also that septic system document claiming that there are 5 bedrooms or this site in general.
Board member Skip Daly asked for clarification on the decision to build an external ramp. He wondered why the garage wasn't designed to be more easily accessible. Petitioner Evan Wiss explained that the person for whom the ramp was built became disabled after the design had been finalized.
So she became disabled after this project was started. Otherwise, we would have designed it differently. And, that's on us. We accept the fault there. But, it doesn't, we're still in construction, and we thought this was a good time to do it as any, so.
Board member Bernie Garitas asked if there were any ways to get to the upper deck from inside the garage. Petitioner Thomas Wiss said there was not. He argued that his plan to build a small workshop inside the garage would make it too difficult to navigate.
Well, I plan on having table saws, drill press, and other things in there just as a hobby. And for her to be inside a small workshop, like I said, it's only 24 feet wide. Mm-hmm. It's pretty small. And then when you put, tools and other things in there, her whole deal is just to get on that porch, and it overlooks the lake. It's that simple.
Board members voted to deny the variance 4-0, citing staff's recommendation of denial. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
there for me every day,
believing in me,
showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
To say I can rather than I can't.
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
To finish school.
To own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. Monroe County Health Administrator Penny Caudle presented a new health order to the Monroe County Commissioners at their August 4th meeting. Caudle said the health order would require Monroe County residents to wear masks indoors regardless of their vaccination status. She reiterated that the health order either expires on September 30th or if COVID-19 numbers drop below a certain threshold.
So this order does have kind of a sunset date of September 30th, so that unless the board comes back and looks at data and decides to extend it, or make some changes to it, it would expire then, or it will expire when we are in blue and our cases per 100,000 have fallen below that 50 mark. So we would have to be in blue essentially 2 weeks on that individual map before we would officially be blue. And typically I would expect another week or two before those numbers, maybe more, before those numbers would actually drop below 50.
Commissioner Julie Thomas pointed out that some residents cannot get the COVID-19 vaccine due to health issues or age. She emphasized that the issue is the coronavirus and not unvaccinated residents.
First of all, our enemy is COVID. It is not the mask order, the health order. It is not people who are unvaccinated. There are people who cannot get vaccinated because of their age or their health status. And so, you know, the enemy here is COVID, and we know what we can do to help defeat the enemy. And so please do all you can to do that.
Resident Scott Reynolds suggested that the health order go into effect the morning of August 5th rather than immediately to give businesses time to prepare. Commissioner Lee Jones agreed and moved to amend the effective date to August 5th. The commissioners unanimously approved the health order as amended. The August 4th Bloomington City Council meeting started as a hybrid meeting with several council members attending in person. However, due to worries around the COVID-19 Delta variant, Councilmember Matt Flaherty moved to recess the meeting and move it fully online. He apologized to those attending in person, saying the City Council could not have changed the meeting before the initial 3 o'clock start time.
Unfortunately, due to the uncertainty of whether Governor Holcomb would extend the declared state of emergency, and due to the long lead time and relatively significant expense of noticing this public hearing on proposed annexation, as well as how it was originally noticed for a hybrid meeting, it was not a viable option to reschedule the meeting to be virtual prior to this motion today. These factors, along with the trajectory of COVID-19 cases in Monroe County, were largely outside the control of this council. And I apologize that it took a couple days of discussion to reach this approach.
The City Council voted unanimously to recess and reconvene for its regular session on Zoom. After the recess, Councilmember Jim Sims presented the ordinance for annexation of 8 areas in Monroe County. He talked about the history of the ordinances, which were first presented back in 2017.
This meeting continues annexation proceedings that the City of Bloomington began in 2017. The city's annexation process was put on hold in 2017 as a result of changes in state law and subsequent litigation. The city is now able to resume the annexation process, and the council is now at the public hearing stage of that process. The public hearing is a required part of the annexation process where all interested parties must have the opportunity to testify as to the proposed annexations.
Resident Mark Farrell spoke in opposition of annexation. He argued that residents of Monroe County already support the city in more impactful ways than paying property taxes.
We enjoy what Bloomington has to offer. Paying property taxes is not the only way to show support for a city. We dine at the local restaurants, shop in town, visit the farmers market, attend shows at the BCT, use the parking garage, feed the meters, and go to all the downtown events such as the 4th Street Fair, Lotus Festival, and Canopy of Lights. Many of us work in downtown Bloomington. The mayor reportedly stated that people who live in the city's fringes benefit from the city's success by having access to better retail, restaurants, and entertainment. Perhaps you should consider that part of the success these venues have achieved is because they are frequented by those of us residing on the city's fringe.
Resident Susan Brackney spoke as a representative of Area 4. She said over 70% of homeowners in the area had signed a petition with their intent to remonstrate annexation if their ordinance is passed.
71% of the homeowners in Zone 4 have signed petitions indicating that they intend to remonstrate if this ordinance passes. We respectfully request that you vote no on our annexation
Council members moved to extend the public hearing on annexation into their August 11th meeting. The public is invited to speak at the special session, which starts at 6 p.m. The Monroe County Clerk Nicole Brown started the August 5th Monroe County Election Board meeting by introducing its new Democratic representative, Shruti Rana. Board member Rana promised she would work hard to ensure fair elections.
I just, want to let everyone know I'm going to be working hard for our community and doing whatever we can to ensure the fairest elections. And I hope that people will feel comfortable asking me questions, telling me how things are going, and that I'll have a chance to meet as many of you as possible in the coming months. So thank you again.
The Monroe County Election Board also discussed Richland precincts. Monroe County Election Supervisor Karen Wheeler presented a request to remove the county designation from Richland precincts 1, 2, and 8. She said these areas will always have the, quote, town, unquote, designation, and removing the, quote, county, unquote, designation will eliminate some redundancies.
We split every one of them to town and county. And there was a reason that we did that. At this point, we really don't need Richland 1, 2, and 8 to ever be county. As probably most of us know, that Ellettsville does have a tendency to annex certain areas, but this is town and they're never going to make it county. It's always going to be town. And if I can be able to get those back to only town, Richland 1, Richland 2, and Richland 8, that will just eliminate 3 different ballot types that I will not have to make them. And there should never be a reason for that ever to happen.
Board member Hal Turner asked if this decision could be reversed if things changed in the future. Wheeler said it could. Board members voted to approve the change unanimously. And that is all for Cats Week. Thank you for joining us. For Cats and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.